Oh shit, I almost dropped my controller. Don't make me laugh. All right. Wait, display capture. There it is. That was weird. All right. Everything is frozen. Everything is frozen. Are you there? Okay. Everything is frozen. Want to play Resident Evil? What the fuck, game? I gotta kill the process. What is this? Give me my shit back. Sorry, everybody. Maybe I have to like restart it or something. I don't know what the fuck's happening. Oh, maybe. Oh, there we go. I just had to be patient. No, me. That's not one of my strong suits. Also, why does the meta thing keep popping up? Go away. Streaming for you right now, okay? All right, best Resident Evil coming up. This is really your favorite one?
I mean, it's pretty damn good. Oh, I forgot. I don't think this works with my PS5 controller. Hang on.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm still booting up.
Yeah.
Are you in uniform?
No.
I am.
We're a uniform all goddamn weekend. I'm not wearing no uniforms.
So you see the giraffe getting head, right? In the logo in the 6?
I guess so.
Okay, because it was like a meme when it came
like a
out.
Stretch, but...
No, I don't think it is. I can't unsee it. A campaign.
They drew that giraffe with 2 legs. Like
it's standing up, and its 2 arms are grabbing the head.
Oh, maybe I missed that part.
Continue, right? And then I should be able to just invite your ass. Okay. And then screen mode is single, but doing co-op. Right? I'm splitting the screen. Wait, we weren't playing the split screen, right? Because I know some of the Resident Evils, I kind of forced that shit. It's annoying. Online, partner join, allow.
It's one of those old games that annoys me. Like, it doesn't have a borderless windowed.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, you can go windowed, and then there's software called borderless gaming, which forces it to be borderless window.
I might just do full screen. Someone's gonna be in my chat anyway. They're gonna be watching your stream.
Don't say that. That's not true.
Come on, Joey. Don't lie. It's true. Don't try to glaze me.
Glaze. He's not gonna glaze your chin. No, I don't know. All right.
Too easy.
Yeah. You set me up. Thanks. Private. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Start game. Creating game sesh. And then I can invite you this way. Oh, all right. Let me
project settings.
Then you just join whenever you're ready. But like I said, look into this thing. It's called borderless gaming.
Borderless gaming.
Yeah. You might have to go to like GitHub to get it because I think that's what I did. I think Luco sent it to me. But there were some games.
Just destroy my brightness settings.
This game's also dark as shit. Remember?
Yeah.
Like it's like obnoxiously dark. Like, how did this pass dark?
Well, now I'm about to put it back to fucking window with a border, like up to my fucking screen.
All right, well, like I said, look into that one thing. I'll if I remember after stream, I'll send it to you. You work tomorrow, right? It's only Wednesday, right?
I do not.
You're off?
I usually do. I took some PTO because I got a medical procedure today where they not euthanized me. But I got anesthesia or some shit, so I can't do anything for 24 hours.
Oh, nice. Like dental, or do you don't want to talk about it on stream?
No, it's for because I got back problems since that car accident.
Oh yeah. Oh wow, really? Did you have like a slip disc or something, or they really fucked you up, huh?
No, it's weird. My spine is actually fine. They couldn't find anything wrong with my spine. It's something about like just a small patch of muscle sort of right next to my spine, and that muscle is just like fucked up, and so like it just gets really aggravated and inflamed, like as like I go throughout the day. It's like especially during drill, we were getting smoked and we were doing burpees, and like those muscles, that little patch of muscle were fucking screaming. I was like, they actually had to pull me out of the smoke sesh. because I was like, oh fuck. It's like, whoa, what the fuck is wrong with you? Wait, get the fuck.
That sucks, man. I hope you feel better.
Yeah. Hopefully this should fix it. We'll see. So let's see. Shift tab.
Yeah, you probably like hella pulled something, right?
I guess.
That was like a year ago now, right? Oh, here you are.
That was like two and a half, 3 years ago.
Dude, I told the story that you told, well, of what you said when I tried scolding you at work the other day. Where I was like, because they were talking about something, and I was like, yeah, dude, like one of my best friends, he was in a car accident like a year or so ago, and luckily he survived, but he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. And then I was like, I forgot how we got on that topic, but I was like, and this fucker, I didn't say that. Oh shit.
Oh god.
I'm good, Captain.
I was like, did you learn your lesson? He was like, yeah, I learned I can't die. Like, I was so pissed at you, but it was funny.
Hey, what the fuck is happening right now? Why is this the end of the game? Is this not the end of the game?
I hit continue. This is my first time playing this on PC, so...
This is like the last level.
No. We chased, Why can't I pause it? Anyway, we chased What's-Her-Face here, didn't we? On the boat and shit? Yeah, we did. We crashed our car onto this thing. Remember? Yeah, there it is. Here's the car right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is this really the end? Well, this is the end of their campaign. We're doing all the campaigns, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, if you don't want to, I would like to play Ada as well, but if you don't want to, I could solo it if...
I'll play Ada.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, let me figure out how to play. Fuck.
Yeah. To get to relearn.
Oh yeah, my overpowered sniper rifle.
Oh yeah, use your fucking rifle, bitch. There's ammo.
I mean, auto sniper rifle.
Wait. I want it. Wait. Yeah, because if you get it, you get it, right? I can't get it either. What do you got?
You can't get it?
Well, I can get it. That's what I'm saying. You already have yours, so can I keep this one?
I have a... Mine's way better than yours.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, babe.
Did you pick it up?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, well, I guess I can take it too.
Oh. Well, what the fuck? Why do you have more weapons than me, Pierce?
I'm better than you. You're an alcoholic.
What's the line from The Boys? Where it's just like, I'm the upgrade. No, I'm just a disappointment. He's like, and he grabs him by the throat.
Yeah.
Dude, I fucking love that show. Actually, I'm trying to refresh. I'm trying to remember the fucking. Oh, dude, you're just passing boxes. Come on, man.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. NATO ammo over here.
Oops.
Cause yeah, this game does get kind of stingy with ammo, which is good because everything else is just fucking bonkers. It's like we gotta nerf them somehow. Oh, how do you do that?
Aim and hit A. Something.
Yeah. Oh, and then yeah, on the ground you can fucking scoot. I fucking love it. Oh yeah, and then I fucking love it. It's so stupid. Like I'm saying, it's like I can't help but just defend this. Like.
Good.
Like I don't think if you were into Resident Evil at the time, but there was a lot of discourse about like when 5 came out, people were still pissed that you can't move and shoot at the same time, which I get.
Yeah.
So now it's like
it was me.
Of course I know him. And now you can fucking John Wick your way through it, and people are like, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's great.
What do you fucking want?
Great, it's gonna be great. Let's zoom in.
Right click. God. Oh my God, Chris. He's got the alcoholic shake or something. I can't fucking.
Oh, I got it too.
I don't see anybody.
I don't know if there's any way to study your game this.
I would be surprised if it did, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did because everything else is so fucking playable, you know?
Yeah. Ow.
Oh shit! What hit you?
A sniper.
Okay.
Well, I'm okay.
I'm okay, Dad. There he is.
Use the big gun. See, thermal scope.
TM needs a noisy cricket. Again?
Alpha to HQ.
Okay.
Closing in on Ada Wong.
HQ here. Copy that.
I just love this game so much.
She's hiding.
Here we go. Oh
right
wait,
here.
and then
It's right here.
L1 will just tell you where to go. So wait, what are you playing this with? You said your DualSense doesn't work, even though it should. Steam and DualSense should already have like native fucking compatibility now.
I mean, I was trying to operate through the menus and it wasn't working, so.
You might have to like, what's the word I'm looking for? Configure it, but it should just fucking work.
I mean, I'll just use my PS4 controller. It's not a big deal.
Oh, okay, okay. Dude, I'm still using the Stadia controller. This thing is cozy. This is a nice controller. Like, this is my go-to controller for PCs. Like, I don't know. It ain't bad. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay, hold on. Let me shotgun out. Oh, they explode. Whoa. Didn't see that coming? Alright.
Ooh, skill points.
Where?
They were on those guys who exploded.
Oh, I didn't get any. Skill points. Where? Shoddy, how you doing? Shoddy and I were playing,
Howdy.
It Takes Two.
Oh, nice.
She did her best. No, she's doing great. She doesn't play, like platformers, so she was having a little trouble just, like, getting around. It was kind of adorable. I'm alright. You're doing pretty well.
Howdy does her best.
That's all I can ask. Fuck. God damn it. Oh god. Hold on.
You doing okay, buddy?
I forgot how to play.
It's so dark.
I got that one. Oh, there's a sniper on me. Get him. Got him. He's gonna evolve into something.
Hit him?
Yeah, this is like the Michael Bay Resident Evil. Shit. Damn it. Got something for you.
Blammo!
Oh, okay. Yeah, your rifle is way better. God damn.
It's just amazing.
Here's someone. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's one of them. Let me get my... Got something for you. Shotgun out. I do wish I could I guess quick select some of these instead of having to like cycle through the entire fucking arsenal I'm carrying. I'm gonna be lurking and listening. All right. Well, thank you for the lurk.
We'll figure something out.
I hope you're having fun with.
Let's go work on your chin.
I have a mission
Nice.
to complete. Got it? Yeah.
Got her.
Maybe we can
Oh, that was for me. Obstagoon. Yeah, Obstagoon. I remember when I used to stay up late, I used to call them goon hours, but that was like before the term goon got like, you know, turned into what it is now. Because I meant like, I was like, oh yeah, I'm up to no good. I'm a goon, you know. Yeah. That's how
Goons
I meant it.
Goons has a whole different meaning now.
Yeah, I do. I'm not playing anything right now, just in the mood. No! How can we make that a good mood?
Cheers. You okay? Yeah, fine.
Oh shit.
Just keep going. We'll meet up eventually.
Ow. Get on my face. Get on my face.
Dude, I'm mailing the big guys over here. Stop evolving. Simon says stop changing.
Oof.
This is a really cool effect though, gotta say. Alright.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger! Kill me. Oh, stop it. Stop it. There'll be no killing Audie. Not allowed. I won't stand for it. Damn, this is...
Oh, I shouldn't have picked that up. Oh. Do I have a pistol? Do I not have a pistol? I really don't have a pistol.
Stop
That's crazy.
changing, you bastards! Oh shit!
Wait, I can't pick up... Why can't I pick up this ammo? I'm actually full on ammo?
You could be. There is still limited inventory. Hey, I hear monsters around shooting, buddy.
How the fuck do I fix that?
Audie kill Audie? No, nobody kill Audie. What?
How do I fix my ammo?
You have to go into your inventory, in... To select? No. Triangle.
Triangle?
Yeah, and you'll have to like either discard and shit. Oh shit.
Yeah, I have a billion hand grenades. I don't need any of this.
I want them, but yeah. You
get
do
rid
think.
of this.
You can.
There we go.
Yeah. Coming on you. Coming on you.
That shit in the trash. And the ammo I want to pick up disappeared. Fucking gee, thank you so much. Thank you.
Took too long. Uh-oh, I'm about to get sniped. Any chance you can get the guys on the bridge? Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. You said you're already there, or you don't know where they're... What did you say? Okay, I think we're okay. We're okay. All right. Are you being chased too? I'm coming. Coming to Papa. Wait, hold on. Is this the inverted controls, like different controls from playing 2 and 4 and 7? I don't know what you mean by that. They all play kind of different. To be fair, and you're talking about like the remakes.
Nice.
This one, I wouldn't say inverted. I would say improved. This is the best controlling one we've gotten so far. The problem is that the game is stupid, you know? That's really it. Welcome in, Revenge Bitch. That's a cool name.
So fucking dark.
I know. That was so fucking cool.
You just dive into him?
Yeah. Well, I slid while shooting. Oh shit, I got sniped though.
Nice.
Is Diva not streaming? Diva is streaming.
I am streaming.
He's doing it right now. Here. Sniper, do your thing.
Got him.
Okay. What? Follower. Oh, thanks, Revenge Bitch. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that.
Of my good ammo.
Thank you for following. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, I shouldn't have picked up that sniper. Now I'm gonna get ammo for that gun.
They're all kind of weird in their own special way. But this one's just goofy ass fun. This is people that say this is a bad game.
Weapons?
Offend me. What, can you discard weapons? This is not a... Vaughn better be drunk. Vaughn, are you drunk?
I mean, I've had a... Hey, Audie, what's up, bitch? I've had a little bit. I can't drink too much because I got euthanized today.
Euthanized? You're funny. Welcome in, Cash Cow. How you doing, man? But yeah, this is not a bad game. I'll give you that. It might be a bad Resident Evil. This is a great game. Yay!
Push by, Audie.
Oh, you gotta do something, I think. Press A on it or something. I don't know. What happens if I let go?
It's not giving... Oh, there it is. I have to use the little...
Vaughn got fixed?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh god, oh god. Fuck.
Yeah, Vaughn got castrated today. Congrats on starting your Pokemon journey, Revenge Bitch.
Now that's how you open a door.
Now that's a knife.
HQ, come on. We're continuing our mission to apprehend Wong.
Now that's
Now
a
let's get those
titty.
stairs back down.
I'd very much like to discard this semi-auto rifle. Because I want ammo for
Oh shit, they're fucking everywhere. Oh god. Time to take cover. And reload.
I'm just gonna use all this fucking grenade launcher I have.
Oh yeah, do it.
Fuck out of here.
Actually, yeah, I'll just let you do that. I'll save my ammo. If you're gonna start just blowing shit up. Oh shit! Shotgun out. Actually, I want to too.
Fucking
Ah!
grenade rounds.
Damn, so I'm on the wrong account. I'll be back on my main account. I'm so annoyed with UPS. Yeah, same. I was hoping you'd get your package already. LOL. No, I feel it, Revenge Bitch. Thank you for the follow, though. That mean I get 2 follows? One from the alt and one from the main.
Can I open this box?
Pinkie Pie? Pinkie Pie, are you also, is this your alt account? Okay, I'm back. Welcome in. Thank you for the 2 follows. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Oh, you'll have to start your Pokemon journey again.
See, I told you. You fucking 5 minutes in, you already got 2 follows.
Well, to be fair, it's from the same person.
Oh.
This is my main account. Yeah, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Spoofing that follower count.
I mean, I'll take it. Thank you for the redeem cash cow. Wait, are you good? Are you doing good? There's boxes up here. Oh shit, you're getting fucked up. It's too dark, I can't see. That's very cool. I don't have it on. I don't have to because I already have it. I figured my other account. That's how I figured out I was on my account. Oh, okay. Well, now you know. Dang, dude, save stuff for me.
So I clear my inventory.
Okay, then load them up. Actually, you sure you don't want to save? Well, this is the last area, I think. So.
Oh, a goddamn 50 caliber sniper rifle. That's what I want to use.
Have you not played this before, Pinky? Are you a RE fan? Uh-oh.
Amanda says hi, bitch.
Oh, what up, Amanda? What up, Cyber? How you bitches doing?
So you got 9 rounds left.
Cutie, and you're fit, BB. Thank you. I try to dress up when I can. I think it was so simple, but I think one of my favorite ones was when I was trying to be the FBI agent when I was playing the operator. That game was fun, dude. That still has to be like probably the greatest puzzle I've ever had in a video game. Were you there for that one, Vaughn? Did you see that one?
I did not.
I love that one so much. You did not? Yeah,
I did not.
I did not see it. Wait, which way do we go? Let's go. It's telling me to go that way, which means we go this way to see what's up.
All right.
Was I there for that? I don't think you were.
Soft. Overrated. Pretty
What up,
boy.
Kiko? How you doing? Thank you for the
A
redeem.
bitch.
And Cash Cow, thank you for the redeems. Ah, I'm low on everything. I'm trying to save the good shit, but all I have left is the good shit. So I should just use it, huh? What are they speaking? Oh, wait.
Damn.
Does that hurt you? Do you get splash damage from that?
I don't think so.
Hi, Kiko.
I guess I'll
Ever like, and please, I need her to know I miss her so much.
What the
Amanda
fuck
says
is
she
that
misses
thing?
and loves you. Oh shit!
Well, these things.
Oh shit!
Just die already.
What? You just die
I came
already.
here to drink,
Drink milk and kick ass. I'm all out of
And
milk.
I've just finished my milk.
Ah, fuck! I said it wrong.
Ow! What the fuck?
Let's see. Well, I'll read that in a moment. I am, but I can't play games anymore because I lost my arm and my leg. I've been in the hospital for 3 years. I almost died, really messed up by going down the path that I did and hanging out with people that I was hanging out with. But now I got 3 years clean. I'll never look back. But yeah, I wish I could play because I used to play World of Warcraft, Diablo, everything, Resident Evil, and I miss it and it sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. That's very
Damn,
unfortunate.
bro.
Yeah. Well, then this
There's an origin story.
This playthrough goes out to you, okay?
Let's see.
Glad you turned it all around. It's okay, everything happens for a reason. That's a good outlook. I don't don't know if it's something that might interest you, but there are controller peripherals for circumstances like this that you might be able to use. Damn, good job on 3 years clean. Yeah, good job. That's fantastic. On the 3 years clean. But yeah, like I said, I don't. Where did we come? Oh yeah, we went through here. I think this is just extra shit. I just wanted to see if there was any like.
I just saw a prompt. Here it is.
Where? Oh. But yeah, I know. I forgot what it's called, but there is a company that. Oh shit. Redeem that. Oh, Kiko. But there is a company that specializes in controller peripherals for situations just like this. Thank you, and yes, I know I've been looking into. Okay. Yeah, this game to me is. I don't want to say a guilty pleasure. Like I get it. It's the goofy, over the top Resident Evil. But
this is peak Resident Evil.
This is Vaughn's favorite one. My buddy Lemon Wedges, he's the one streaming right now. With me.
Damn good.
Yeah, this is his favorite one. Like, this is one of the best games in the series.
Easily the best game. Way better than Resident Evil 2.
This one kickflips, so Resident Evil 7 could run. I don't know. AKA Diva, AKA main bitch. Diva's my side bitch. Reload.
Oh,
Oh shit! What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
What's happening? I'm getting shot. I don't know. I'm being shot by something.
Where are you? There you are.
I jumped down. I don't know where the shots came from.
Which one of you bitches shot my friend? I can't keep up with your bitches anymore.
I'm gonna crawl up in your ass.
Oh, it's like a helicopter or something. Where's that searchlight coming from? That's what has me concerned.
It probably is a helicopter.
No, it's a ship over there.
I'm going up.
I like how you're getting all the bullets. Thanks for opening that. 250 bits down the drain. Oh wait. Wait, what do you mean? Did you donate bits? Did something happen, Kiko? Yeah, I didn't hear anything. Did you redeem something? I'm sorry if you did. What'd you redeem? Was it sound alerts? They did a sound. I don't even see that. I don't see it in my prompt. I don't see it in my mix it up. Oh, hold on, wait. Hold on. Let me try something real quick. I might have to do some OBS shit real quick. Hold on. I'll fix it. I think I have to go to my page though. 1 second. I'll redeem it for you. I think I have to go to my page though. Wait, 1 second. I'll redeem it for you.
You're gonna fucking trash some weapons.
Hold on. If I could redeem bits, I would. Hey, can. Here, I'm sorry. Sound alerts. Ah. There we go. I'll redeem this for you right now. You redeemed orgasm. My sound alert.
Doesn't look like it trashed weapons. It's kind of annoying. I don't need two.
Why can't we hear it? Wait, did it play?
Oh, here we go. Weapons.
Did it play? I didn't hear it at all.
Equip, chains. No, I can't get rid of it.
That was loud. Okay, oh, shit. I'm sorry. Hold on. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to turn that down, and I'm gonna switch it to properties, advanced properties, so I can hear it too. Sorry, Vaughn. I'll be right. Let me fix this. I was informed that something wasn't working.
Yeah, I figured.
Advanced audio properties, sound alerts, monitor only, so I can hear it too. And then it'll just filter through my desktop audio. Was it really that loud? I want to hear it now because I forgot which one. I actually forgot that was even there. Here. my god, it is loud. It was loud. That was loud as shit. Sorry, guys. Well, you're officially the first person to do that. Thank you for the biddies. And thank you for letting me know that that was a problem. Okay, you ready, Vaughn?
Yeah, good. Gucci.
Alright, the box? Oh no. Cash cow leave. Let's see how that motherfucker's doing.
I wish we had a flashlight.
Yeah, dude, that's something that this lighting with a, because I think this game looks good.
HQ to Alpha.
It's just
Yeah.
annoyingly dark. This with a
Even
flashlight
better
would
if
look
you had a
amazing.
You need to apprehend 801
It would look
now.
amazing. Like at the end of our gun, we have everything else. This is tactical everything. Where's our
Yeah.
flashlight?
Yo,
Also,
ladder.
turn on my let me see something real quick. For engagement, you guys can see how unhealthy I am. Is it on?
Ah,
Oh shit! I wasn't
Oh.
ready.
Ah,
I
cutscene.
wasn't ready. All right. I was turning on my heart rate monitor.
Are you kidding me?
I like how they're all in
We've
tactical
overstayed our
gear.
welcome.
They're monsters. Did you already go downstairs?
yeah, I did.
Oh. Wait for me!
Getting after it. I want to shoot shit.
Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Alright. Oh shit. Him down. Thank you for the bits again, Kiko.
Oh yeah, fish
Oh, shit.
can.
Let's see what we got.
You can slide into cover.
Yeah, you can.
This game is so good.
It really is. Shit, take over. Oh.
What are we supposed to do about that
Oh shit, I don't know. I don't know yet.
vehicle?
Oh shit, I'm down.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Save me. Save me! Revive me!
Why'd you run in front of it?
I didn't. I was taking cover.
because
I
we
got
hit this one.
ambushed. I was in cover, but I got ambushed. Thank you.
Ow. No, I'm injured.
Are you
Oh,
down?
get me the fuck out of here!
Yeah,
Not
run.
yet. How do you just walk directly in front of its guns?
I didn't. I was in cover,
sure,
and then, like I
that's
said, I got hit by another one of those guys, like the
Oh, shit.
the on foot
Breaking my
guys.
cover. Breaking my cover.
Are you down?
Not yet.
But no, I wasn't in front of it. He turned to me, but I was in cover, dude. One of these guys on foot got me. God damn it!
God damn it, Joey.
I know.
They're supposed to be good at these games.
I never said that. I just said I like it. Anyway, I'm going where I'm supposed to go. Where the fuck are you at, huh?
I'm coming, brother. Not taking the path that doesn't get me killed?
Ah! Oh!
God damn, I couldn't get there.
What took you so fucking long?
I was taking the safe path.
Yeah, I was in cover, but one of those motherfuckers, like, they came up on me and shot me.
HQ to Alpha. Fighting in the city.
Why'd you let them do that?
You need to apprehend 801 now.
Because they flanked me.
Copy that.
They were coming
Why'd you
left.
let them do
In
that?
there.
You know what? I don't want to deal with this shit. I'm gonna pull up with this shit. Alright, we got this.
Are you kidding?
I sure, I definitely got this.
You know, fuck you.
We've overstayed our welcome.
You're in that fucking rifle. You're so cocky now.
Oh, there's like a secret spawn over here.
Ooh, an herb. I needed
Oh,
that.
no, it's not. It's not secret. It's not really secret. It's like an alternate path.
Let me get that herb. That herb. Oh shit, I don't need fucking ammo. Hold on. God damn it. I don't have space for it. Fuck. Let me just drop the flashbangs. Sorry, dude. This is important.
We'll find a side room.
Okay. Combine with that one.
Here.
and-
Apparently we're in here already? Oh, okay, yeah. It's like an open case. Oh.
Running. I'm running! Ah!
Yeah, damn it, Joey.
No, I'm just down. I'm good. I'm not like down. I'm good. And I really would like to pick up the stuff that these guys are dropping. No, I'm good. I want to pick up this stuff now. Where did you go? You said there was like a side area you went to?
I went to the other side.
Do you get a flash every time I just get downed? Without even like not...
It lets me know that you got down.
Alright, I beat this with a knife now. Oh shit.
You have to reach that doorway, I assume.
Yeah, I'm working on it. It's just I'm getting a little overwhelmed with all the enemies. Why'd you get hit, huh? Why'd you let that happen,
I
huh?
stood up a little long. I mean, I only took 1 box of damage. I'm fine.
I took 2. It's okay. Hopefully this isn't one of those things where like we need to both be there. Oh, we already opened this door. Nice, planning ahead. I would have needed you, but we already took care of that. Taking a quick break.
Load.
Here! Good job! Hurry up!
Can you hear me yelling?
Over here!
I hate you.
Actually, I can try and provide some cover. How you doing?
I'm reloading my guns.
Oh boy. Reloading.
Can I go this way?
Yeah, you can. Just keep going. Oh, why don't you just die?
Can I go through here? I can, nice.
Oh shit! I had the most kills out of everyone in the match on Overwatch. Good job, Ginny.
Did you go into a side room and go upstairs?
Just go back to that door we came through. Remember that one fence? Good job, Shoddy.
Go back.
I don't know why I said. I think I was gonna say Shoddy and then BB, so I said Shitty. I'm sorry.
If I go in here.
It's like Gruel and Mean Girls.
You can see the staircase.
Yeah, you're almost here. Up and get your ass up here, boy.
Oh, ammo.
You ready?
ammo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do it! Alright, he's... Okay, cool. 22 kills. I only died 4 times? Good job.
Exactly what you gave me.
I just need to shoot things now. I feel better. There you go. It's funny how that happens, right?
She's a real American.
America!
Becoming the monster you always were. You and everyone else on the planet.
The world's biggest subtitles.
You and your family may have shaped the world into what it is today.
And that shit off.
But starting tomorrow,
This game is so weird.
all going to
Like, that's not even Ada. This dude was just so down bad he turned like his assistant or some shit into Ada. Her name's Carla.
Too many weapons, not enough ammo.
Actually, wait. Let me reload everything. Kinda.
Wait, isn't there a way to use your perk points in this game?
You can equip them, but I think you have to buy them between chapters, right? Does that sound
I
right?
don't know. You're the Resident Evil expert.
We'll press select. And then go to equip skills. I think that's where you equip them. I don't think you buy them until... All right, I'm gonna spend time with Amanda. Catch you later. Later, Cyber! I forgot you were here. Have fun with Amanda.
Okay, so I do have some.
Amanda show.
Equip skills. Okay, that's bad word. It's not. It's equipped skills, not equip skills.
It says equip, but
it's not letting me change anything.
yeah. Well,
so.
maybe do we only have 3?
Yeah.
Then
Only
we
have 3
can't.
at a time.
We can't. Well, how many skills do you have total? Like purchased?
3.
Then there's no reason to
I'm
equip
sure,
more.
sure more than that. I have more than 3 bought.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
All right. I was gonna say it's like maybe it just doesn't give us the option because all we have is 3. I think all I have is 3. I think I
It says
upgraded one.
equip skills like as if you could like change them, but
I think you can.
not right now. Didn't give me an option to change them.
Fucking love that show, dude.
Pretty good show. Oh, I passed.
Like
something.
that is one
What's
of
that?
the Cartoon Network greats.
Oh, little icon. Where'd it go? Oh, hand grenade. I don't want that shit. I have like 10.
Flash grenade. They come in handy.
I don't think I've ever used one.
There's your problem.
Captain,
I don't need them. I have a 50 caliber sniper rifle. I just kill everything.
Fair. Actually, hold on. I can move my camera over here now.
it's Ada.
Oh, I'll do it at the end of the chapter.
Bitch.
Get back here, you bitch! Get the fuck back here!
Ada, stop!
You know what I'm talking to you?
Seize the lane! You bitch! You failed! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh lord. Okay. Oh lordy lordy. Oh, I thought I killed it. Oh wait, no, I can melee this bitch. Oh, he moved.
Ow. I just quick scope everything.
You're just no-scoping everything?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me reload. I actually picked up some rifle ammo. Semi-auto rifle, which sucks.
It's not terrible.
It's not as good as your
not
fucking
good.
big boy.
Not
Your
even my
fucking,
rifle.
your fucking
Yes,
your Mandingo rifle.
It's got a thermal scope. Fucking kill shit in like one shot.
There's gotta be a weapon that I have that you don't. My
Yeah, you got a
biceps.
pistol. You have a pistol. I don't have a pistol. I have an SMG, which I think uses pistol rounds.
Oh, nice. Fuck. Hold on. There's a urban here.
Nice. I don't know if I even have any herbs saved up.
I do, but I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna merge it so I can have some pills.
1 green herb.
Yeah, if you merge that with another one, you get 3, and if you merge that with another one, you get 6 tablets.
Yeah. I only got the 1.
I'll just drop the flash. I do have explosive like frag grenades, but sorry. It's just so many options. I'm literally a walking arsenal. What's in here? Oh. Oh boy!
Oh boy! Oh boy!
my god!
Oh god!
Oh fuck! He almost killed me. You forgetting to explode? Fuck. There's ammo right here. Ooh, acid
yeah.
rounds. Stakes have never been higher.
I don't need any more fucking grenade launcher rounds.
Dude, I fucking love the grenade launcher. Oh, he dropped something. What did he drop? More rifle ammo. Okay. Oh, there's handgun right here, which I haven't used in like forever. Okay.
Oh, there's something going on up there.
Are we getting attacked from behind?
No,
Okay, I thought I heard those are your bullets I heard then. Okay.
I didn't actually check, but no.
Oh.
Think I got him?
Behind us? There was some guy?
No.
No, there's a guy
I
who
got
took
the
cover
guys
still.
upstairs.
Nice. Did you snipe him
They
just
were
now?
6 feet under. Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, good shit. Oh, there's still somebody up here. God damn, dude. Got him. I like how they like if Blade killed them, you know, they just like ash up like vampires.
Yeah.
We're going in there, which means let's go this way.
Honestly,
Honestly,
I'm trying to get my 50 cal sniper
I'm
rifle.
probably gonna use. Oh, there's a shotgun ammo right here. Never mind. Someone with a name of Thick Milky is zoning in on me, and my disappointment is immeasurable. My day is ruined. Oops, sorry to hear that, Shotty. How's your health?
My health?
Yeah, your health.
Fine. I have like 10 pills and I'm at 4 boxes, so.
You want?
If you're gonna use like a healing kit, I'll
Yeah.
take it.
There you go. How many boxes did I just heal for you?
2.
Okay, that's fine, because I had one left.
Damn, you suck at this game, bro.
No, I'm in the front lines while you're sniping. With your fucking big dick rifle over there.
I'm smart. Just go with my big old log out and just boink.
Slay queens. Thanks, Adi. There's cover here. Where are the enemies? There they are. Oh.
Bitch!
Upstairs.
I love you, bitch. I'm always gonna love you, bitch. Oh shit. Ah!
I can't see! It's so dark.
Alright, hold on. Fucking love this game. So goofy.
Like all the best ways.
It is. Like it's fun goofy. Like, and you know what also like it's almost like a buff to the goofiness is that it takes itself so fucking seriously. It makes it funny. Like they thought they were making like some epic globe-trotting adventure. I mean, and they did, but it's unironically hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh my god. You know what? Frag out! Oops.
Oh god. You just kill yourself?
Yeah. That's on me.
Yeah, it is.
That one's on me. I thought I was doing something good. I forgot. I said frag out and I just drop it at my feet.
Yeah, not an herb, but I'm full. What can I drop?
Don't drop that.
I'll drop these.
Don't.
Look, I'm gonna drop these nuts over here. I'm gonna drop these flash grenades.
Actually, can you
I don't
give
give a
them?
shit. Can I?
Can you give? I don't even think. No, you can't. Never mind.
The only option I see is trash.
Yeah, because we collect our own shit in this one. In 5, we have to like,
Yeah.
you know. Hold on, let me fix something on my stream real quick. While we're in a moment. I'll tab out. I really wish this was full. Actually, I could add this to the borderless gaming real quick. Can you give me a couple minutes?
A couple minutes.
Hold on. Give me like 1 minute. Let me switch this to windowed first of all. Actually, no, you're right. I'll do it while we're well, after we finish this chapter, then I'll take care of it. Sorry. You right.
It's not that bad.
No, it's
I'm
not.
playing
It's not.
windowed.
No, because I keep alt tabbing out because I want to do stuff. But like, if I borderless window, it would be a lot easier.
Don't you have like 3 monitors?
Yeah, but I can't do anything. Like, I have to alt tab out. If it's borderless, like, I don't have to minimize everything. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Damn it. Sorry, dude. 1 second.
Oh. Jesus Christ. What the hell is going on back here? Where are you? Damn. Oh, there's the loot I found. I think I have to up the brightness. Like, holy fuck, it's so dark. Let's see, game settings, screen settings, adjust brightness. I'll try 8, 10. I'll try that. Oh. Oh, damn it. You bitch! Oh, fuck, these things? Oh, what was the frick of these guys again? Oh, no, 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 no! God damn it, you
Shoot the
fuck.
queen! Shoot the queen!
I'm down. I'm getting attacked. Base! Not the base! Not the base! I'm gonna use a healing potion. You need help?
Yeah, I do. Use it on me.
Come here, come here. Get next to me.
I'm right here. I'm right here. Shoot.
How
Sorry.
do I use it? How do I use
just
it?
fucking just select it like a weapon.
I still made us trash it. Why can't I just use it?
Here, I'll have to get back to you guys.
Option. Why is there no use option?
Just use it like a weapon. You press down and then you just like right click. There you go, and then press circle or B, whatever. There you go.
I'm about to fucking use a weapon in your car.
No, sorry.
There we go. I mean, it worked. I got 26 of those. You bitch!
Damn it, she's toying with us.
A little bit of ammo. Oh. Blammo! What the fuck is this guy doing? We going crazy? I like that little detail. Send the papers offline. Reloading! Ow, fucker.
Sorry, they were trying to get me to hang out, and I said no, and I feel bad.
They know your stream schedule.
They don't, but they hung up while I was trying to, because they were like, "Oh, yeah," I was like, "Yeah, you've been playing for an hour. That's plenty." And I was like, "Yeah, but like, there's an outbreak right now, and like the C virus is leaking. And that's irresponsible if I."
Am I turning the wrong way?
And they said they're gonna be here in 15 minutes to pick me up, and I'm like, "No, don't." Oh shit!
Looking better now. Oh god! Fucker!
Fuck! Reloading! Shoot him! Shoot him!
Shooting him!
Oh man! Fuck! Nice. I mean, I'm already settled in for the night. I feel bad, but it's very last minute, you know?
Yeah. I was gonna say, tell them to fuck off.
No, I won't say all that. It's really nice of them
I'll
to
say
want to include me.
I'll say it for you.
No, it's okay. No, it's really nice of them to invite me.
Who was it? It was like Vinny and them.
Vinny and Chaz, yeah. And they were asking if I want whiskey or soju, and I was like, fuck.
Damn, get me over there.
Right? If it was you, would you keep playing or would you bail?
I'd abandon you.
Oh, that's my answer. See you later, dude. No,
Just kidding. Like, oh shit, there's free liquor on the line? I'll see you later, Joey.
I always count on you, buddy. And there is a chance they'll just show up anyway.
Well, they can be part of the stream.
Still haven't.
Hey, you guys can
had
drink
enough,
here.
huh? Even after losing all your men again.
You bitch!
Your track record? I gotta
Kristen
say,
starts crying.
I need to be remembered your Chris.
Don't listen to her, Captain.
But where are my manners? I mean, really, I should be thanking your men for being such good test subjects.
Shoot her in the fucking face. What are you doing?
Right?
Ever
I'm
since
taking you in.
I know,
all
right?
I've wanted is to
That's-
see you
there you
dead.
go. There you go. He's doing the line. He's doing the thing.
This isn't about vengeance.
It's about justice.
It's about
No,
justice.
this-
It's over now.
So cliche.
You're right. It is.
This is written by a
The
14-year-old.
aircraft carrier is preparing for launch,
Launch.
Justice.
and the dead will flood the streets. Deja vu, boys.
These nuts about to flood your chin.
Soon
Nice
the
tits. And
city.
just shoot her.
This time, it won't just be one city. It'll be the whole world.
The world.
No, what they're doing is... I know what that was in the first draft. The first draft was, today it's China. Tomorrow, the world.
Yeah, yeah.
At me. Well played.
Right in the womb.
But no one can stop it. Now.
Wait, does it actually kill her? I don't remember. Nice.
It's pretty dead.
What the hell just happened?
See you next fall.
I remember, like, I bet all the fanboys watching this, they're like, what the fuck? They just killed Ada?
This looks like a different strain.
I'm not even sure if she's dead here. I honestly forgot.
Just take what's left.
This
Bring it back
plot
to
is
HQ for
all
analysis.
over the place. Like, a lot happens in this goddamn game.
Alpha leader. I need a report
And them
on the
splitting it
missing
between 3
vessel
campaigns
ASAP.
just only confuses me more.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, I'm pretty sure I didn't even catch the Carla shit until, like, my third
Terrorist assault was
playthrough.
just a diversion.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
Spread the virus
oh,
globally.
that's not even Ada.
Now what?
It's a very dense game. I think this is, like, one of the longest Resident Evils also.
Yes, sir.
Like, this game's, like... Like, I think each campaign is roughly, like, 5 or 6 hours, and there's 4 fucking campaigns.
Alpha team,
Damn.
this is HQ.
Yeah.
So,
We confirmed
I
that
mean,
Wong was telling
I'm not
the
gonna
truth.
say no to longer,
There's a
more
fully
content to play.
armed aircraft carrier in open water.
It's more to
Yeah,
love.
money was worth.
Location.
Yeah.
Satellite imaging indicates they're getting ready to fire missiles
No,
on the
I'm not saying, like, it's a bad thing. I'm just saying this is
imperative that
there's
you
a
stop
lot.
them from launching even a single one.
Yeah.
Copy that, HQ.
It's cool because you like get to play. It keeps the vibe by like making play as different characters with different weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
The base
Different environments.
Legend says different play
Oh, shit,
styles,
real
but
flashlights?
This is making me seasick.
finally.
Think this time's gonna last much longer? I don't want to hang around and find out. Come on.
Alright, let me go what's over here. Let me see what's over here. I feel like a bad friend now. I feel like I'd be a bad friend if I bailed on you for booze, though.
Yeah, you would be. Big
Damn it. We need 3 separate passcodes to get this open.
key. What is this? What's this marker?
Let's go see if we can.
That's the passcode, I think.
Let's go to A.
Go over here. Oh, we gotta keep hunting for more.
At least he had a code on him.
We gotta come back to this. Oh shit!
Uh-oh.
Oh, these are the guys from Resident Evil. Oh my god, not Resistance. What the fuck is it called on 3DS? Retribution? That's a movie. It's another R. Resident Evil.
Some fucking xenomorph shit right there.
Revelations. They look like the ones from Revelations. Oh, not a xenomorph, but like the neomorph from what's the one that everybody hated? The book nerd one. Covenant. Remember the fleshy one in Covenant? Oh my god.
Damn, they're still alive? Holy shit.
Well, we have to shoot the little barf maggot thing.
Oh, one drop behind us, I think. Yep, behind us.
Oh shit.
Where is that?
Cool, I only took up all my ammo.
Is that another one?
Yeah.
They're falling. They're in the goddamn vents! Did you throw him?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Cool sound.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah, I'm still like alive, kinda.
Right?
Like it's like the
When they
thing.
drop
Or
items
it's like
off.
was it Dead Space where they're still technically not dead? They're just like immobilized because you could have to.
Okay, well,
Idiot.
can't go through there, apparently. Yeah, I figured I'd at least test it.
That's
Didn't hurt me,
that's
huh?
video game for you can't go through there yet.
Right.
Oh shit.
Oh.
Oh, come on. Give me a break.
Are you winning, BB? Yeah, I am winning. Sort of. These bunches are confusing me.
You can't take the heat? Get out of the kitchen.
Oh, there's a box right here. See, the
I
thing that
also found
confuses
a
me is
box.
he still makes noise.
Yeah, it's very disconcerting.
Yeah. Are you winning, Audie?
Let's get out of here.
Whoa.
Oh shit, there's... Oh my god, it rebuilds itself? That's pretty dope, dude. I wonder... Oh, no.
You're checking what it is. Oh, fuck. Get off! Get off! Get off!
Shut the fuck up. Get off me! You know what it reminds me of? Have you ever seen... You've seen Seven, right?
Yeah.
You know that part when he's got like the weird like corset with like the bladed dildo on it? He's like, get it off of me! Get it off of me! That's what you sounded like. Oh my god, that movie's so fucked up, dude.
That one was a banger though.
It was good, it was good. I haven't seen it in forever. Like I remember, is it at the end with Morgan Freeman? And it's like his like, I guess debriefing, and he's like, where are you gonna be? Or where are you gonna go? He just looks around, he's like, around. And it just fades out. Yeah, I think the last line of the movie is like, you know, where are you gonna go? Or where are you gonna be? Around. What's in the box?
What's in the goddamn box? I would have shot him too.
Yeah, he even does one of those like, cause you know like the meme, he can't get getting away behind you, away with this, and he does like angry. He's like, I can't get getting away with this. That's what kind of reminds me of. It's like, what's in the box? Jesus Christ!
I know.
Behind you? Oh, yeah, these ones are fucking freaky. I was just playing a game as healer, and I was the only one who didn't die. Hell yeah, Audie. That's what's up.
Oh yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. And that's what's up.
Like how we had the flashlights for all of like 2 minutes.
Yeah, now we need them and they're gone.
Yeah.
What if it's got like maybe a hotkey? Hey, what up, Devil? How you doing, buddy? What's over here then? I like it when the game tells me where I need to go. Yeah, what did it do, Jigaboo? Wait, I hear monster.
I want to drop behind you.
Oh. Is he dead? No.
I don't know.
Right, it's hard to say. You're like, yeah? Oh. Shit.
Well, technically, they're dead already.
Right.
Oh, god damn it, another hanger.
They're undead. Oh, wait, where?
Just walked over it. That fucking sucks.
See, I like how we have to be like in pitch black for our flashlights to fucking be on. It's over here.
I found a door.
There's a monster. I don't know what these guys are called. Shout out Deadwolf. I think you were shouting him out. Oh, wait, there's a door right here.
I'm right next to the door too.
Oh, there's boxes in here.
Did you find anything?
What'd you see of that boy? It's RPG, master.
Oh shit!
Oh, you guys see anything? Or you guys find anything? We ain't found shit.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Great movie.
I still think my favorite Mel Brooks movie might just still be Young Frankenstein, but Spaceballs fucking rocks. It's Frankenstein. Yeah, these are like, oh shit. I'm gonna fucking mag dump you. Get away from me! Get away from me! Get away from me!
I got your boy!
I almost died! I'm so scared! I found the other key. Yeah, I didn't even realize that these were like crew's quarters and shit. These are always fun because every
I
room.
don't believe you didn't buy it ready or not, Joey. said you want to play with us.
No, I do. It's not that I don't. Like after Bills, dude. Like lately, it's been kind of rough. I will get it. It's just like this pay period. This pay period, your boy's depleted.
What the fuck? How do I know space for ammo? Oh, it's all these fucking grenades.
Behind you.
Ow. Asshole.
You got the hand.
Can I just pick up the ammo, please? Fuck.
I gotta reload. Oh shit. Got a lot coming.
Whoa!
Another one?
Little hand jumped up on you. Here, I got it.
Need a hand?
Need a hand.
High five. Guess how many fingers I'm holding. And make sure there's no more of these, because there is.
Look at this fucking oil. Holy shit!
I did get a lot of nice ammo, but yeah, we got. There's one more key left, and it's over here. Passcode, whatever it is we're fucking looking for. You circling around? Okay. Oh god damn, they're getting back up. Stay down. And it like drops valuable ammo, so I gotta go back for it, you know?
I think it probably costs more to kill them than does when we get ammo back, though.
I don't know. I have a lot more of the rifle ammo than I ever did. Oh, oh, oh!
Oh, the hand!
Got it.
Nice.
Oh. What?
There's a hand sneaking up on me. Trying to jerk me off.
Nice. God damn
my
it.
consent.
You just left the hand?
No, I killed it.
Oh, there's a different hand that got me then. Alright.
You spider? Get off!
Here's.
First. Hey, what up, Paul? How you doing, man? We're playing best Resident Evil.
Oh, fuck, we got split up.
Yeah, we did. That's okay. How you doing, Paul? I didn't ask for your help, kid.
Well, you got it.
You got it, old man.
Okay, got them all. Let's get back.
Oh, you got monster in there?
No, not yet.
All right,
Here.
let's open this up, Piers. You ready?
Oh.
Over here.
Let me out.
Here.
Let me out.
Over here.
Actually, hold on. You get him?
Yeah. Think so?
All right, open this fucking door. Before
One
this
hand.
one.
One hand.
Hurry up. Over here. Over here.
Hey.
Hey, like over here. Hey, Piers, over here.
No, that's something that me and Dontre do all the time. We still joke about it. We're like, Helena! Because I think it was... Because last time I played this, I think was with Dontre, actually. And it was like a meme between us where it was like the, hey, come on, over here. I found something. Hey, come on. Helena! That's a lot of ammo over here.
Yeah, there is.
Tight. Oh, shit. These won't fucking die. These ones suck. I hate these ones. But yeah, we can go back now.
Yeah, they're really annoying.
I mean, I really
Oh,
shoot these
the
guys.
hand.
Oh.
Just run.
It's like The Thing. This reminds me of, like, with the prequel, the good one. No, I'm just kidding. Oh shit. God damn it.
Where are you going?
There was an enemy over there, and we are getting followed by hand again. Drop your shit. He's dying. Is he?
Is he?
Oh fuck, that hurt
God
me.
damn it.
Sorry. How did the Asteroids not kill it? That's bullshit. Okay. Come here, bitch ass. Graveyard. Where'd he go? Oh, I guess through this door. I guess it's a straight shot. Left. I'm pretty sure this is. Well, no, actually, yeah. Oh, let me get the skill points right there. Peanut butter jelly the long way, the long way. I hear you.
Well, there's a hand by me.
I used a little overkill.
Oh, fuck. No such thing.
Especially right now, fuck. Back up. Jesus Christ.
Fire from the air!
They're in the walls. They're in the goddamn walls! Alright, I think we can go now. I think he's still alive. No, we're good, we're good, we're good. Let's get out of here. This place sucks. Did you do it?
I did that. Cover me!
Come on. Right behind.
These fucking bastards. Did you kill it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get whatever you dropped. Nice, grenade rounds. And skills. Alright. Fuck, and that goddamn, because like when they die, there's like 3 pieces of them, you know? There's ammo over here, let me get it real quick. Alright. Oh, he is alive. The hand. Oh my god! Alright, god damn it. They just keep spawning.
Too much shit. Drop these fucking flashbangs.
Honestly, those flashbangs might be helping. Like for these guys. Alright, ready?
Ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
What the fuck?
Oh shit.
Oh shit! Fucking lucky!
Not enough time for you right now.
Jesus Christ, game. This game has no fucking chill. Wait, do I have health? No, fuck, I don't. I need like another herb or something, or first aid spray would be fucking sick.
They're sitting next to me.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Did you give anything?
I did, I got one, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Bears.
You're still telling me to come over.
Hey, bear.
Bader. Bader. Is that what you're doing? Is that what you said?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Get it fired up.
Hey, Bader. Best viewers on steamboo.com. Tell you what, there's best viewers on this deal. This deal. That's where all the viewers are at.
Aircraft carrier has been located.
You bot. Be gone, bot.
with anti-aircraft artillery. Take out those guns.
Oh, bots! Our queens!
Does that even sound possible? Hey, Pierce, how's your aim?
Better than yours, old man.
Captain.
Get the fuck out of my stream, robot. Oh shit. Oh, we're doing shit. Wait, am I flying or shooting? Oh shit. Are you flying? Oh, I'm flying.
No, I'm shooting.
Why am I flying? No, don't do this to me. Have you guys seen me drive?
And there's nothing we can do to stop it from here.
I actually do. I don't remember this.
It's gonna be a hell of a lot worse.
Also, it's not inverted flight controls. This is actually fucking me up a little bit.
We've got no choice. Okay, get ready. I'm going in.
What am I locking onto?
No fucking clue, but I'm trying to dodge bullets or missiles. And I'm shooting down existing ones. Can you shoot these guys?
No, I can only shoot locked on targets I can lock onto. They're designated, so.
I can do barrel roll, I can aim, and I can fire. I keep us alive. Oh shit, did that hit us? No, it didn't. Nice. Dude, flying without inverted controls is fucking illegal. What are you doing? I don't have a permit for this.
Come in, HQ. Are there any other vessels in the water?
Negative.
Oh shit! Nice! And I shot it. Nice. Okay, that's pretty cool.
All anti-aircraft guns have been destroyed.
All right, now we can stop that missile. Find a place to land, Captain.
I kicked in. Oh! I think I remember this level now.
HQ to Alpha.
This was RE6?
The missile countdown has already started.
This part sucks, if I'm not mistaken.
Find the control unit and stop the launch.
Roger that, HQ. We're on it.
Oh shit, I'm covering you.
Oh, nice.
Wait, I'm in a jet that can fucking hover. What the fuck? I don't think these don't exist, do they?
Right in the bottom. Cover me!
Can't take care of. Okay.
I got you, buddy.
Gotta do a quick turn that's while I'm drunk. Don't worry, Captain, I got this.
A long way. Peanut butter jelly the long way.
Turn the bomb. Cover me.
Sorry, baby, I wasn't paying attention. Oh, no, you're good, you're good. Your best mod still. Don't worry about it. You're good, Shoddy.
Shoot these bug-faced sniping motherfuckers.
Where are they? Where are they? Oh, I see them, I see them. Got one of them. I think I got both, maybe.
Man, I definitely play better when I'm drunk.
Well, I've said this several times. It is scientifically proven that a drink to maybe a drink and a half will actually improve your eye-hand coordination.
Looks like more trouble than
Oh, shit.
But anything after that, it'll significantly drop. So you might play better buzz, but drunk, science says no.
Ooh, this motherfucker. I definitely play better drunk. I'm gonna go, fuck what
Maybe it's
science
because
says.
maybe
I
it's
did
because
my own research.
Maybe it's because you have the shakes without it. I'm just kidding.
Ooh, yeah, exactly. I do.
It was a cheap shot. I
That's
had
true,
one
though.
and a half drinks like 3 times. Put me in, coach. Oh shit.
Way to go, Pierce.
Paul's on it. Hey, Paul.
Get out of here.
Look into it. I don't know if you could buy it anymore. Well, we have about a month of Resident Evil Resistance left. Because they're gonna end it in June. I think it's delisted and the servers will shut down soon. I think that was when you said you wanted to play, right? Or not Resistance, the other one. No, Resistance is still going. What's the other one? Fuck. Resistance is the good one. Reverse is the one that's ending, if you wanted to play that. I'm not sure if you can anymore. How you doing, Paul? How's your night going, man?
The missile is preparing to launch.
I see that you're playing Zombie Army Trilogy.
We're out of time, Alpha. Permission to destroy the missile granted.
I'm fucking him up. You're back in the shower. All right, any company?
All right, Pierce. Take out those missiles.
Is the game lagging for you at all at any point? Because for me, sometimes during scene transitions, it like hiccups for a second. And I don't remember that ever happening. Also, the game is like 1,000,000 years old now, so like, what the fuck's happening? This game came out in like 2012, right? Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
That's 13 years old.
Leon, where are you?
Chris, we're just outside of Pachi. Why?
Get the hell out of there!
Oh yeah, the line. He's on the line. Me and Datre say this sometimes. Like, hey, are you in downtown China? Yeah, why? Get down! I just love how fucking melodramatic and over the top, and just how straight it plays it. Like, there's no camp in this game. They think they're doing, like, they wanted us to go, what? You know? Oh my god. All those innocent people. Actually, this scene is pretty hype. Because, this scene, oh yeah, this is the cutscene. I like this cutscene. I really like this part. Because the C-Virus is like insta-zombie. So one of the few things in Resident Evil that I kind of like actively disagree with and hate, even though I love the movie, there's a particular plot point in Resident Evil Vendetta, which is the third CG movie. There is an outbreak with zombies, and they actually managed to cure the zombies.
Yeah,
After they were like, can you imagine, like, because there's a part even where it's like you see this dude eat his girlfriend, right? Can you imagine like waking up after that and being like, oh fuck, I was a zombie for like 20 minutes and I ate my girlfriend, no! Like,
yeah.
Things just got bad.
I like to imagine once you're a zombie, it's over. Before you turn, I'll accept that. Like, you're infected up to a point, and then you can be cured, you know?
Yeah.
But once you're full on zombie, I have to strongly disagree with that. I don't like you being cured.
Chris, listen to me.
What is this? What is this? My boyfriend's back?
It kills you.
And Sherry Birkin.
Like the, whatever
Yeah, you're undead. Exactly.
Kills you.
Yeah, you're undead, and then you're brought back and you're reanimated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ain't you anymore.
He's got antibodies for the C-Virus. I got it. On my way. Good.
A long way.
Something I need to tell you.
You've seen that bit, right? The peanut butter jelly, the long way.
No.
No, so I just sound fucking insane. I gotta send that to you.
Copy.
Yeah, that's right. Pretty boy, I killed your girlfriend. Fuck you.
That wasn't your girlfriend. Your girlfriend's still in the market, bro. That was a bitch that was genetically modified to be your girlfriend. Damn it, I died once. That's right. Hey, I still killed more enemies. Dude, I thought you were crushing it. I thought you were gonna get more enemies than me this time.
I was crushing it. I didn't go down once.
Alright.
Who had to save who? I think I had to save you.
No, because you died.
Multiple times. No.
No. Oh! No, I died because you didn't save me. You failed me. You let me down.
I'm sorry. Who's drunk? Seems like you're drunk. It looks like under Chris Riffle, I see deaths.
I got one. That's because you let me down. I was in the front lines while you were there. While you're in the background going,
decision.
La 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 la. Oh, look.
Yeah, I was playing smart.
Oh, look, there's another spot over here. And you go the wrong way. Then you have to backtrack.
No, I went the correct way. That's why I didn't die.
No, because you had to come back the other way anyway. You just went the long way. The long way.
I went the safe way.
I gotta show you that video. What do you mean the safe way? You backtracked.
Yeah, and I survived.
Yeah, well, I cleared a path for you. I was even covering you. I was even covering you when you were coming back.
No, you were staying at the door.
No, I was shooting, and then you came upstairs, and then I went to the door.
That's weird, because I'm pretty sure I had to shoot everybody I ran into.
The ones that you caught. I killed a lot before they even got to you.
I don't know. You should focus more on the enemies in front of you instead of the ones in front of me.
Well, I mean, I cleared all the ones in front of me, and I was at the exit while you were taking your sweet ass time getting there.
Then why'd you die?
Because I got overwhelmed. No, like I said, there's that one part where, because you were like, why are you in front of it? It turned to me, I was in cover, and then like I said, the Majani, what are they called? The Javo? Are they called the Javo? I think they're called the Javo in here. They flanked me. I had one on the left, one on the right, and one in front. I got overwhelmed because you weren't there. I needed you, and you weren't there. I'm gonna try and make it your fault. So shotgun shell pickup increase. I don't need that. I need this fucking. It's our fault. It's a co-op game, all right? It's our fault. Did you get closer to the mic? Because it peaked when you did that. Oh. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna go pee while I do this, and then I'm gonna. Yeah, actually, this is fine. I'll be right back.
Okay, picking perks.
Do your thing.
Increases your combat gauge. I don't even know what that is. Is that your health bar? Oh, I definitely want that one. I guess I'll upgrade crit hit 1 since it's like the only one can afford. Is it working? Oh, it's this one. I turn it on. It's working.
A long way. Back. Did you miss me? Bitch! Greatly increases the strength of your final shot. Can you imagine that with like the shotgun? What are you doing? Let me. What are you yelling at? What are you doing? We're not in gameplay. What do you mean die? Oh, there's two of me. Oh, dude, I just duplicated myself. It's like. There's two of me. You know what? Oh shit, wrong button. Three of me. We're everywhere. Stupid. Where's the other one? There's two of these somehow. Oh, there you are, buddy. Hold on. Move it. I'm gonna move myself over here. It's like being on the left. All right. Whee! There we go.
Oh my Jesus fucking Christ! What the fuck?
What the fuck are you doing? Come on. What are you doing? We're not playing yet. What are you doing?
Why are you following the other guy?
Oh, he's be right backing. I'm talking to a clip. Dude, you gotta plug your shit in. That's like echoing over to mine.
You said you were following him. Yeah, you just.
I know this clip.
Me.
He's yelling at fucking Scott. I know that one. I've seen this one before.
You are such a piece of shit.
So angry.
Because you just fucking abandoned me while I'm surrounded by like 1 billion enemies?
I'm back.
You should really plug in your shit when you leave or something. Your Be Right Back was so loud. I was actually talking to you through your clips for a second.
My Be Right Back was too loud?
You were coming in 4K. I know exactly what clip it was too. It was when we were yelling at Scott while you were playing Space Marine 2.
That was too loud?
It was way too loud. Well, do you not have your earbuds in or your headphones when you play?
I mean, yeah, I have my headphones in, but I went to use the restroom.
I don't know how, but it was loud enough for the mic to pick it up. You were probably echoing on your stream, and then I heard
so it's
it
coming through twice.
Yeah, because I heard it coming through Discord, and I was like talking to you because you were like, oh no, wait, wow, and I was like, wait, are you playing without me? I was like confused. But I realized it was a clip, and I'm just a dumbass.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Fun.
I had to mute my. Yeah, I'll try and remember to mute my mic next time.
No, wait, not yet. I'm not ready.
Oh. Well, I can't stop it.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm good now. I swapped out shotgun drop for firearm level up.
Nice.
Yeah. And then back. Okay, and then quit? What do I hit?
Yeah, I hit quit.
I quit. Should we like continue
Yeah,
or
that's weird.
something?
Yeah. Go.
Move. Oh, this is the last part. I think I know this area.
There's irony for you. A man who spent his entire life trying to destroy the world, and now
Yeah, you're echoing.
his son is the only one who can save it.
I'm echoing?
I can hear the game through your mic.
What the
The man
fuck?
who killed his father. Like I said, irony.
Irony. I think I hear it twice somehow.
It's fate.
Or wait, am I? Wait. I could be. Let me tap out real quick. No? I thought maybe, because I have my stream open to watch it. I thought maybe it wasn't at like 0 volume, but no, it's maybe come through your mic.
This war follow me forever. After we rescue Jake, I'm turning in my gun.
Oh, no.
Wait a minute.
It's
Oh.
about time someone took my place.
I don't hear it anymore.
I'd be honored if it was you.
Cool.
I don't think I'm ready for that.
I look like you did in Code Veronica.
Made it this far, haven't you?
The same hair and everything. And the same tech and eyebrows.
I'm probably gonna die at the end of this mission.
Oh yeah, what were we doing? They were like, yeah, I'm a girl back at home.
Yeah.
I'm doing this so I can send money back to my family. Like,
Yeah.
Neo
My
Umbrella.
grandma's dying of cancer.
yeah,
Be careful.
I have a girl at home.
Knowing them.
She's pregnant.
Surprises.
Copy that.
My contract's up in a year.
Yeah.
Captain.
Everything goes right. This is my last mission.
Yeah.
All I ever wanted was to be like you, the great Chris Redfield.
Yeah. Gonna marry my girl as soon as I get home. She's carrying my baby, my unborn child.
I think
I've already got a ring picked out.
Christina.
They found us. We gotta go.
What's Pierre's first name? Matt. He looks like a Matt.
They're in some sort of research bay. We can get there from the lower levels.
See.
Let's go get them.
So you can do this cool. Do this.
Huh?
So, slide in. I slid in.
Oh, you did?
Slid into the
Nice.
vent like a Chad.
Pierce, I need you to scope out an area for me.
Use your fucking
Must
rifle.
Go down your chin.
Nice.
I will.
Oh, god damn it. Everything's full. Hold on. I'm really sick of this. Let me reload some of my weapons. I'm gonna drop. Fuck.
Throw me.
Hold on. Fire grenade. No, wait. Let me mix this. Sorry, it's important. Because if you move over there and I start fighting, then I'm like, I gotta fucking collect shit still. Yeah. You know how it is. I think we're good now. Ooh. Over here! Backfield! Oh, I don't know. Back, are you guys being good boys? I'm always a good boy. I'm the best boy.
From up there. Roger that.
Oh, I'll switch right here.
Oh, there's stuff down here.
Okay, it's off.
Shit.
Oh.
Roger.
You good?
Going in.
They come. Oh Lord, they're coming.
I'm going through the fan. I'll be right there. I'm coming on you. Coming on you.
I'll see what I find here. Wait for my command.
Oh shit.
Oh shit. Can I climb that? No. Can I help you?
Okay, I have a 50 caliber rifle. I'm fine.
Huh?
I have a 50 caliber sniper rifle. I'm fine.
Okay.
I might actually use a grenade for us.
I kinda just want to run into the fan and watch what happens.
Yee!
That actually hurt me.
Really?
Yeah, I took a half a block. I'm gonna hang out in this corner. Oh, that finished that block. What did you do?
Nothing.
Something blew up and it hurt me. When you pissed me off last night and I killed you on purpose. Wait, what did I do to piss you off? I was patient and I was trying to help you out the entire time. I fucking knew it was on purpose. I knew it was on purpose. I was like, that felt intentional. I was a good boy. What are you talking about? Tripping. Everything you believe. Me or you? Nice Spooderman. You're a great husband. Apparently not. Waiting on you.
Wait on me?
Yeah, you gotta flip the switch or something so I can get through the fan.
Pierce, we got another set of
Switch.
blades in the way.
I'm on it. Just give me a minute.
Oh, there's another switch, another fan.
I got it.
It's off. You're good to go.
Even when you called me challenged, it was a joke. You said you were sorry I'm being challenging, and I was like, challenged. To be fair, I called him. Yeah, you did, butthead. And then you killed me. You set me up for a good joke, and this is what I get.
Oh, who the fuck is shooting right now? Oh, that was crazy.
Shit. Nice. That was cool.
Hey, what? Are you watching?
No, I have my own little action scene happening down here.
Oh, I
I've
see.
restored power to the elevator.
Copy. I'll rendezvous with you up ahead.
God damn.
Come
it's
to
got
mama.
some
Oh, I'm
jazz.
on it too. Oh shit. I was hoping for a bigger burp. Damn it.
Right in the booty. You stay down.
What you drinking? So I was drinking a Tall Boy Voodoo Ranger, which is empty. I was like, Try to get one more sip out, but it's empty.
Yeah,
But now I have another green apple slushy thing. What's taking you so fucking long?
well, I'm fighting a bunch of fucking enemies. Fuck you.
I want some. Here we go. Say ah.
On my face. Fuck you. Pop. Pop. I got shit going on up here.
Hurry the fuck up!
Okay, there's
What
fucking
the
RPGs
fuck?
up here. There's fucking RPGs
Oh
up here.
shit! That freaked me out for a second.
Over here.
Oh, you're dead now.
I think we're fucked. There's like literally nothing you can do, huh? Yeah.
We're sucking.
You quit sucking. What do you even find down there?
Nothing. I killed
The
them
whole
all.
goddamn army up here.
Waiting on you. Waiting
Under
on
the hot
you.
RPGs. Under
Waiting
the hot
on you.
RPGs. Wait, turrets. Fuck you.
I got monsters down here. What do you got? There's a lack of fucking
Fucking the
skill.
whole goddamn army.
They got me being impatient. Hurry the fuck up. Nice to see PCG isn't being sexist tonight. Oh.
See if we can do the switch right now. We cannot.
I still want to hold on to those. Let me drop this. I'll take that, and then I'm going to... Damn, I got a lot of fucking acid rounds, bruh.
Here's. I've restored power to the elevator.
Got it. I'll rendezvous with you up ahead.
Maybe just run over there real quick.
Probably should. If you can.
Oh, go, 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 go!
Move, move, move!
Ah! Bro, really?
Watching your stream.
What the fuck? What's happening? Why did it open? What? Why the fuck did it open?
Oh shit. Oh, because it shut on him.
That's bullshit. I should crush him.
You'd like to think so, huh? You're fighting for your life up there.
Holy shit, that was amazing.
Alright, do it. Yeah, that did look pretty cool. Nice. Did you take any damage from that at all?
I don't think so.
Nice.
Fucking hell, I use this fucking thing.
Check for ammo down here. There still might be some pickups for you.
You need health?
No.
Fuck you.
Hey, what up, J Lodi? What up, Dad? How you doing? My father, everyone. Sorry, I missed that. How you doing, dude? Adi, can you give Dad a shout out? If you can.
Piers. Over here. Over here. Hurry up.
Thanks, best mod. Good girl. Oh shit.
How?
Shut the fuck up. Hey.
You asshole.
Wait, me?
No. That guy who shot me. Enough of your shit.
Yeah, she hates me. Oh shit!
Reloading!
Same. He's gonna explode.
Dodge roll. This is the best RE game ever.
That's a funny clip. Me asking Bricks and Nikki talking about sistering. Oh god, I missed it. Dad, you nasty.
How many motherfuckers are there?
I know, right? Stop it! No, I got flustered. Oh. I think the explosive ones are better than the acid ones. Yeah, more? Still can't fucking pick that up. Hang on. Oh, nitrogen. Oh shit. How was your stream, Dad? There's acid rats and shit over here. For me, at least. I don't know about you.
Ugh, I don't need more grenade launcher rounds. Don't seem like they're even doing much.
That's why I'm trying to like not necessarily get rid of it per se, but I'm using it. Oh shit. Dude, he had a fucking rocket launcher too. He just saved me. I almost died. What's good? Sekiro kicking my ass. I heard it's pretty rough. I heard Jay loves it.
That game's pretty gnarly.
Sekiro, did you beat it or did you give up?
No, I never did.
Nice. I just remember your reaction, like he did the whole thing where it's like you look up at God and he's like, ah! It was awesome. Because like you beat the first form of her and then you didn't realize she had a second one. And you're like, yeah, no, and you pick up the controller and you died.
Yeah.
It's like a core memory of mine. Any ammo and shit? I don't see any.
I didn't.
I didn't see it either. Checkpoint.
Engaging airlock.
Oh fuck.
Connection to research block initiated.
In holding position? Yeah, you're gonna hold the spot.
Connection is complete.
Are these bastards?
Hello, stranger.
Ida?
Yep, it's me. Or should I say, was me. Consider this my little parting gift to you.
You good?
If you've
Yeah, I'm
made
good.
this far,
Reloading.
assuming you're PSAA. Not that it matters. He still won't stop my plan. No one can. One missile and this world will be transformed.
Did you die already?
Oh
Holy
shit, I'm sorry.
From my
Damn it, Joey!
I thought I was doing you a favor.
creation. He will rise the ashes of the burning city, conquering all that remains after the fall. He will reign as king of the new era.
Hey, these astronauts kind of blow.
Creation isn't a pillow.
Here, can you get through to
Oh shit, there's a sniper up there.
Not unless we get topside.
Fuck.
So we're on our own. All right, let's get Jake and Sherry the hell out of here. Come on.
Roger.
Thanks for the heal.
Yes, sir. I didn't do it on purpose.
Reloading.
Ow.
Oh, can we go yet?
Connection complete.
Yeah, we?
No.
Pressurizing area now.
Oh shit! Oh my god, they can sprint!
Please wait until air pressure levels have
No, I know. Are you okay?
I'm good.
Don't let it pull the lever. Last thing we need is more cocoons. Shit, they keep coming.
Yeah, they do.
We're just gonna have to hold out.
Oh shit. Reloading. Shit, I wish I had a grenade now. Fuck it. Changing ammo types. 1 second. Ah! Check this out.
Oh. That works. Oh.
No more, you motherfucker!
Oh my god.
Oh shit!
God, the fucking
Coming!
That was bullshit. That was fucking bullshit.
Alright, I need you to get up and just run.
Took control away from me.
Pressure normalized. Connection
Yeah, we're loading.
procedure complete. Disengaging the safety lock.
Thanks for the shout out. I just motherfucker ain't winning best on stream. Yeah, like 50 Cent. Hey, what up, DJ? DJ Press? I don't know what to call you.
There we go.
Yeah, we can go. But shit, where? Sorry. It was a little crazy. I didn't see your chat.
Oh my god, you said what the fuck?
Where do we go? Where do we go?
We're over here! Right here at the door!
I'm sorry, there's
Oh my
bees on me.
God.
There's bees everywhere.
I can't
Oh,
move!
pick me up. Fuck. No, you're gonna get shot. Ah, we have to start that over again, don't we? Didn't mean to call you shoddy, my bad. Wait, what? Oh, wait, did you call me? Oh. I couldn't see with all the bees in the way. What up, DJ? Fuck. Not the base! Not the base! Not the base! Well, let me reload to explosives because fuck acid rounds. Hold on. Fuck that. Go back. Sorry. There we go. Actually, real quick, I'm gonna pee real quick, okay? Hey, everybody, DJ is my new friend. Give him a follow. Be right back. Come on, fuck you.
No, you. Let's see what we got. I got no healing sprays. Didn't I give us the ammo back? What the fuck?
I'm back. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Did I miss any chat?
Engaging
All right, we're gonna beat this shit, okay?
Research block initiated.
We'll kill your bloodline.
Connection complete.
Our species is gonna beat your ass. You'll never defeat the human spirit. Never.
Never.
Hello, stranger.
Ida?
Yeah, fuck the acid rounds, dude.
Me, or should I say,
Acid rounds doesn't even suck dick. This is the only game where the acid rounds are kind of shit.
consider this my little parting gift to you. If you've made it this far, I'm assuming
We're both
you're
using it.
okay.
Nice. We're invincible now.
Yeah, I'm just gonna run this shit.
Oh shit.
Still won't stop my plan.
Motherfucker.
No one can. One missile and
On our right.
Will be transformed into a new Eden for my last and greatest creation. He will thrive in the ashes of the burning cities, conquering all that
I missed.
remains after the fall. He will reign as king of the new
I should
era.
end it now. No, stop saying that.
Something tells me this.
That's a
new
Joey joke.
creation
You're not allowed.
is a pillow fight.
Here, can you get through to HQ?
Get the B. I got the B.
So we're on our own.
Oh my god, I can't aim.
All right, let's get Jake and Sherry the hell out
Oh
of here.
shit.
Come
Oh
on.
fuck. They hit me. Ah! Stop!
Oh, sorry. Ow.
Check your fire, bitch. Shoot the big guy. He's dead, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. Shit.
Got a sniper.
Took you long enough. No,
Fucking this shit real quick.
wait, oh fucking, oh, where the fuck is the sniper at? Alright, doors open, let's go. Wait, no it's not, fuck.
Pressurizing area now. Please wait.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
I didn't even see that guy.
Don't let it pull the lever. Last thing we need is more cocoons. Shit, they keep coming.
Reloading,
We're
reloading.
just gonna have to hold out.
You're not allowed. You're not allowed. They both dead? They're both dead. They're dead, Dave. Got him.
Nice.
Fuck. I'm like low on health too. Fuck.
Ooh, give me the ammo.
Oh, nice herb. Fucking bastard!
Oh my god.
Oh my god!
Pressure normalized.
Can we fuck off yet?
Connection procedures complete. Disengaging.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, let's just book it. Oh shit.
Go, 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 go!
Ah!
Chris, we are leaving! Save these bitches.
Glad to see you're okay.
Wait, was that you who just freed us?
Looks like you guys saved the day again, huh?
I knew your papa.
I can see your father in you.
How did you know?
Wait,
what-
hold on a second. So you knew him? Yeah, I did. But I'm the one that killed him.
Killed my dad, I didn't know? You tried to destroy the world? How dare you? How fucking dare you put that monster down?
That's right.
Chris, better put a leash on that puppy.
This is between me and him. Go ahead. Shoot.
I want to say that once in my life.
You have every right
No. This is between me and him. Stay out of it.
to. Just promise you will survive.
Come on, I want you to do it.
Depends on it.
Who the hell are you to tell me what to do?
Stop it!
Put your gun down, now!
One, hit me. Hi.
Tell me, we just following orders? Or was it personal?
A bit of both. Like, you do know what this motherfucker tried to do, right?
Right.
We're talking scorched earth, man.
Stop.
Like,
Gun down.
drama queen, dude. Drama queen.
There are more important things at stake than you and me.
Like the fate of humanity? Like the 18th time?
We gotta go.
I don't buy that part. Like,
I know.
like he has to know what his papa tried to do, right?
Right.
And Albert doesn't strike me as a good father, so like, what are we all pissed about? Dude?
Yeah, yeah.
Guys,
He was literally an anime villain.
over there too. Let's get out of here.
What the fuck are these for? God damn it. I thought we were almost done. Just like Papa. Yeah. Yeah, see, look at
Okay,
that.
we get it.
Yeah, alright. We have to watch the whole simulation. This is valuable time we're wasting. Pushed it. Alright, let's all do the levers.
Unless we stop it.
Oh, the lever, Kronk! Oh, wait, a box.
So, if that giant cocoon hatches,
Lord knows he ain't ammo now.
Yeah, just a bit.
Oh, wait, actually, dude, there's boxes. We should restock.
Okay. I want to get off this thing.
B again, I think. Right? I'll just do a quick circle. These two are on this one. I'll meet you back at the other one we were just at. It felt like a worthy thing to try to do. Ooh!
Oh, he just got skill points.
Alright. I got ammo. I needed ammo.
You know, you didn't have to put yourself on the line like that. Western served what he got.
Yeah.
Did what was right. You
Yeah,
kept
he fucking...
us both safe.
You did.
He was still his father. Kid had the right to know.
Have they even fucking met? Like,
Right? Yeah.
does Wesker even fucking know about him?
So it's never been easy being my partner.
Oh, yes, my boy.
Here, all that's gonna change.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Jake,
Run the walls!
Spare me the lecture.
Run the goddamn walls!
we're totally trying to... Look, this is over, please. Just talk to Chris.
Yeah, enemy's right next to you, bro.
Oh, really? Oh, shit. I thought I was covering them. Nice. Here we go. I'm gonna use my shoddy.
Howdy.
Ow.
Whoa!
They got rocket launchers?
Under the walls.
Oh!
Ow! Get over it! Get out of the way!
Who the fuck has the rocket launcher? Can Mr. Sniper get? Jesus Christ, game.
Ow!
Oh shit.
Scope!
I just pushed him off. Oh shit. Oh shit, I'm getting sniped.
What the fuck? God damn it.
Oh, you got him. You got him. It looked like he did. Yeah, y'all already on Chris and Jake? Hello, Governor. Sorry, I'm late. Oh, no worries. Well, we started with Chris and Piers, and we ran into Jake and Sherry right now. We're approaching the last chapter. I think this is like the second to last chapter, I want to say. The penultimate. Sorry, wrong name. No, I know what you meant. It's Jake. Jake Mercer. No, it's not. Jake Mercer's... Wow, I'm combining names from Prototype. There's Alex Mercer and Jake Heller. Here it's not Jake Wesker, is it? I don't think he has a Wesker last name. I forget. Jake some shit. I don't know. And Sherry Birkin. What up, Angel? How you doing? It's kind of a cool monster like design. Like One of the things I do like about this, I think the bosses are just really well designed.
Let's go.
Pretty cool.
Maybe not the fights, but like aesthetically, they look dope.
Got a job to finish.
I think the situation calls for a late-term abortion. Oh, what the fuck? What do I do?
Oh, we're climbing.
We gotta climb.
Pretty chill night, eating, then hopping with the homies. What did you eat?
Oh my god!
Bye, Pierce.
Hurry, they'll take us down.
Put your your stripes, rookie.
Pierce, come on.
Ugh.
I got you.
Oh man!
Jump, hit the jump. Come back for me.
Shit, what do I do? Oh fuck!
Press B, bitch. I hate you.
Dude, I hit it. I didn't know.
hate you.
I didn't realize that's what I was doing.
Yeah, we're having fun. Well, now you know. It's all good.
I thought we could like make us split up and run on different paths.
Oh shit. Oh wait, we gotta climb. I thought we were. I thought the same thing.
Gotta climb.
Hey, look, our cycles are in sync. Giggity.
Yeah.
Hurry, they'll take us down with them.
This game's insane.
Pierce,
All
come
right,
on.
but you leave me behind again, you bastard.
I'm leaving you behind.
Right, you're like, bye.
Who's in the lead now, man?
Jesus Christ.
What do I do? What do I do?
Shoot him? Oh, there we go. Said to shoot him. Run, boy, run!
Oh. Okay.
Stuck?
Oh god. Oh god.
Son of a bitch.
Realize that's what I'm gonna do.
He slid automatically for me.
No fair.
Yeah, I know, right? Bye! You're so far behind me! Keep him distracted, Pierce! You're doing great!
Oh,
Got my favorite barbecue spot here in town. Ooh, fuck, ribs. Mac and cheese and potatoes and green juice. And chest. That sounds awesome. No, come back! Okay, I thought, when I heard that, I took that as you running.
Wow.
What the fuck?
The option.
Well, yeah,
How can I do it?
I don't know. It didn't let me. Oh, fuck.
What is happening? What do I do?
Hit.
Okay. That worked, I guess.
Good job, kid. Oh, fuck yeah. That was stressful.
That bitch Sherry just left us to die.
I think this is the last part of the game.
Oh Lord, he coming.
Wait, what the fuck? Oh, thunder.
Ow.
That downed me. What are we supposed to be doing?
I have no idea.
Oh, fuck
Okay.
you, game. Fuck you.
Does stun lock us here now?
Probably. Ah. Oh my
Unbelievable.
god. That's fucked up, man. Alright.
I literally can't revive you.
Yeah,
fast
that's
enough.
fucked up. Alright, well, I just won't get hit this time. I was aiming for his fucking head. Like he has like a red fucking diamond. Like, shoot the head. Wait. Let me reload everything. I'm going yet. Maybe acid rounds? I don't fucking know. concentrate. Good job. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Wait, what weapon is this? Okay, I'll use the rifle, yeah. Fuck you, game. We have to run? Can we run past it? Oh, we can.
I gave some help.
Thank you. Oh, it does do something. Reloading.
It's better. Can't let this thing see the light of day.
I'm not sure what this thing is. It's like Chaos from Sonic Adventure, but like evil.
Right.
It's scarier.
Okay. Now what?
Cutscene.
Really?
Oh, god damn it! Oh, I thought those were enemies popping from them. God damn it. And he just messaged me, he's like, it's almost an hour, LOL. They're really wanting me to hang out right now, but we're almost done with the game.
Well, 1/4 of the game.
All right.
Well, yeah.
Been better.
Enjoy the swim. The water's great.
That's not the end of the chapter, is it? Okay. This is the end of the game, I'm pretty sure. And then, after this boss fight, I'll have to call it, because my friends want to hang out. Okay. And it's what? It's like midnight for you now?
We gotta go.
I don't know what time it is right now.
It's 11 for me, almost.
So 12.
Does daylight savings time affect you too?
I don't know. Do we go through?
Oh yeah, we go. Oops, my bad. Oh shit. Ah, I'm dead. I didn't realize. Okay. Oh damn. They're like, you're dead. You're leaving? No, not yet. I'm gonna finish this game. They can wait. Also, they hit me up last minute on like a Wednesday. It's like I'm not made of time right now.
Let them wait.
Wait.
Son of a bitch! Captain, we're out of time. We gotta go.
Go. Oh yeah, I forgot to slide, yeah.
Go.
Shit! What dramatic with the slides. God damn it, Chris.
Captain, hurry!
Go! Even farther! Beyond! Plus!
I didn't realize we were holding it like that. Also, goddamn, we are shaking. It's like we're shaking and not the level. Did it look like that to you too?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's like we're shaking, not the area. This is a cool monster though.
We're sitting ducks in.
Ugh.
All right, camera. You know what you're doing, but cut it out.
Oh, Lord, he's coming.
This game is so dramatic, dude. Beers down!
Come on, you son of a bitch! Whoa, Jesus!
That's how you go. Oh shit, yeah. Pierce was a homie though. This is actually kind of like, even then, I was like a little upset by it.
God damn!
Yeah, Pierce didn't deserve all this. If anything, Chris did. God damn, bro.
Here's what the guts moves.
Yeah, Pierce comes in clutch. Don't be a hero. I'm watching your stream.
I'm coming, Cap. I'm coming.
At least let me mash a button. I'm just watching you. God damn, it is dark, dude. Pierce, what are you doing? I'm surprised you haven't lost consciousness yet. You know what I have to?
Yeah.
We're gonna be lurking. I'm actually tired. I hope you have fun with your boys. Text me whenever. We'll do. Why are you sad? Stop it with the sad faces. There's no reason to be sad. It makes me sad.
Hey, ugly! Watching somebody your own size! I got plasma beams now, motherfucker!
Alright, run this way.
What?
Sealing all doors. Okay. What do we have to do? Gee, we have to do some shit here. I just don't remember. Oh.
Depressurization initialized.
Wait 5 minutes. Alright, Pierce, time to use your new fucking electric powers.
Try to stay in control.
This is what it's like to go even further beyond.
Yeah. Ow.
Please wait while pressure is reduced.
Oh, shit.
I missed you right now. Oh shit.
Ow.
I'm trying my best.
Ow. Ow.
Did I hurt you? Did I hurt you?
No, I'm just like getting stung by the boss.
I'm helping.
What are we supposed to do right now?
I think we're just hit his little gills, his little weak spots. Cause yeah, on this little side, like his kidneys are exposed or whatever the fuck these are.
Yeah.
One of them's down. Let me switch ammo types. I mean, I wonder if nitrogen will work.
Oh.
Oh shit, he's got a little fucking... It's like, the Faculty. You know, remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool. So now he's fucked up. Oh my god, what do we do? Zap him! Zap him, boy!
Zap something.
His other half?
His body parts.
What do I do? Do I have to... Oh shit! Oh, nice.
Now's our chance. Fire!
Shoot! Shoot, boy! Oh shit!
Unlimited power!
Unlimited power!
No! No!
You!
You will die!
This is like the best kind of hype.
I don't know how to aim this shit.
Yeah. Oh, because you probably have like hang time, right? You gotta charge it and shit, probably.
Well, it's like it can only aim. I only have so much, like depression and.
I'll be right there, Pierce. I need ammo. I don't have a lightning arm.
God damn it! Quit landing right above me. My one weakness.
Nice. I got one of his sides. Okay, I'm trying to go for the other. His left side. He's like targeting me. Shit.
You will die.
No.
I am the Senate.
Hey, that's that creepy ass like shriek when he fucking like armor rolls at the Jedi. What I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Ow. Oh, grab me. He grabbed me. Got me.
I'm coming. Fuck! God damn it. Do I have to start all that over again? Probably. It's okay. We're getting better. Now we know. Okay. Go with the checkpoint. Right? Or is this the beginning of the match still?
This is the beginning.
Oh, okay.
You have to fight it. Try to stay in control.
It's treason, man.
I like when he watches Anakin kill Dooku. He's like enjoying the show.
Yeah.
One's down. Go for the left side. Both sides down, baby! No, wait, no, it's not down yet. I can't hold it. I'm too weak. Or whatever the fuck he says. He totally does do that. That's funny. Why he's getting uglified? Oh, there's a box behind you.
It just keeps coming back. We have to kill him when
Oh snap, it's Shared Lemon. Oh snap, it's Bo. What up, Bo? How you doing, man? It's me and Lemon Wedges. My boy. How you doing, Bo? We're in the last boss fight of the Chris and Fuse campaign.
I'm not losing health.
Because you're infected?
Oh, apparently I get health back when I just shoot him.
Oh. Message! No. Oh shit.
Oh, jump down. Damn it.
Pick a spot, motherfucker.
Unlimited!
You missed. Shit. I got one of them. Oh shit, that was dumb. I got too close in there. Damn it, give me a chance! Just give me a chance! Thank you. Hey. Why, his bottom half sounds like a fucking chimp. Wait, are his little spots exposed? They are, aren't they? Fuck. Not the bees! Not the bees! I'll get my dude. You killing these motherfuckers or what? You ever killing them dead? Try killing them before they kill me. Oh, nice. And there's a... Is he chasing me?
Cameras all over the place. No.
Okay. There's ammo over here that I'm getting.
I don't need ammo.
Dude, I'll be right there. Damn it! Stop giving me fucking skill points. I need ammo.
Ow.
Nice, I got one of them. Let me get to his other side so I can try and get that one. Here, I'll switch spots with you. Uh-oh.
Oh, that's hurting me. Fuck.
Is he? Stun him.
I'm trying.
Oh, nice, nice. Dude, everyone's got him. Oh, shit. Fuck. That thing chased me and exploded. I need help.
We have to kill him when he's in his cocoon.
I can't run very fast right now.
Fuck, thank you.
I'll use my strong arm. I am the Senate.
Are we doing this wrong?
I have no idea.
Fuck, I'm running low on everything. Nice. Watch out for that thing, because that thing fucks me up too. Oh, okay, that's why. We just have to kill it. Okay. And he says we have to kill him when he's in the cocoon? Is that what he said?
No idea.
Oh, we do. I think we're doing this.
Oh, shit.
Alright. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up, but...
Time for a shocking revelation! One of my favorite dances, electric slap.
We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue. We can take it higher. Oh shit. I think that does hurt him. Okay, cool, cool. I have to melee it or some shit? Oh, I do.
You, goddamn it.
I don't fucking know. Did you know? Shut up.
I have one job. Shoot the lightning.
I have to shoot in big spots and stab them. But now we know. Now we know. So even if we die again, we got this.
Time to ride the lightning.
I'm gonna see if any ammo happened to respawn, maybe. I'll be right there. Oh, there is skill points. Damn it. Oh, there's herbs. That helps too.
Gonna shoot my little lightning bolts. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, you got little ones and big ones?
Yeah.
Shit. Oh, he grabbed me.
Okay,
Motherfucker.
hit him. Ooh. 5 frames.
Nice. Hopefully it's enough.
Maybe?
Oh, no, he got me.
Working?
Oh, it worked. I'm gonna head over here. I have herbs.
Oh, I think. Oh, what's happening? What's happening?
I don't know. Okay. I am completely out of ammo. I can try knife him.
You gotta kill him with your knife.
Punching him! shoot. Okay, fuck.
How'd that happen?
Pick me up. I got it. I can do it. Keep, if you can, after this, zap him when he's in his cocoon.
He's in his cocoon.
No, zap him while he's in his cocoon. Because I think we have to. I think he takes damage while he's in it. And then here we go. One more. But I have no ammo. Shit. Or health. Let me see if I can run around and maybe some more respawn like a good game.
Hurry up, Joey! I'm running out of one-liners.
God damn it! It was a cute one. Oh. All right, keep doing what you're doing. I can throw insults. That's all I have left. You missed. Actually, wait. We got one more option.
So what about your back cock?
No, I need you to zap him though. Okay.
He's coming down. He's coming down.
Okay, good. Fuck, I missed. But if you can zap the other side by any chance, then if I can, I'll knife again his bottom half. Fuck!
God damn it,
No, he went through the buildings. He went through the cover.
Uh-oh.
I'll go away. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it again. He's gonna get us.
Look, run!
Run, boy, run! Honestly, this game's being a dick for not having respawning ammo. I don't know what to do. Fucking! He gets me! Oh, dude. Okay, all right. That's okay. Now I know what to do. Well, we got him this time. This is the one, okay?
All right. Don't fuck this up for me, Joey.
I'm trying to do my big sacrifice here, okay? You're fucking up!
Really, my epic death! Gosh!
Get off my groove! He's stocking up on ammo too.
There's always so many lightning-based puns in this world, right?
That was a shocking revelation. Camera, stop shaking. Uh-oh.
Owie.
I got one of them. Get the other side. To the other side. Alright.
Still on? Is he? You're doing it?
Got him. And then get the bottom half. And then melee him. After he gets out.
Okay. I'm gonna hit him.
I think hit him.
Okay, well, maybe I'll hit him. My camera stopped freaking out for a second.
Okay, and then now I gotta... Here we go. Alright, yeah, we got this time.
Run away!
Flee, fat man, flee! He missed.
Doing the little shoots. The little shoots.
Little skeets?
Yeah, almost skeeting. Oh, those actually cost me health.
Oh, shit. Oh, that hurts you?
The little ones, yeah. Like I recharge health when I do the big one.
I got one side. Let me get his left side now. Keep him distracted. Oh, he fell down.
Oh, I got you, Cap.
I don't quite have a shot yet.
Whoa, some tendrils.
I shoot the tail.
Nice.
Okay, and then he's gonna cocoon up, which I think then you zap him, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I stab him. I think that's the pattern here.
All right, I'm gonna shoot him.
Do it.
I'm gonna shoot
Do
him.
it. Okay. All right, 2. I got one more. It's actually not hard at all once you figure out what they have to do.
Yeah. He just goes up here and regenerates his tail or whatever.
Yeah. And he leaves the cocoon fresh, and then we have to kill the weak spots, and then he separates. You kill the tail, he cocoons up, which you zap him, and then that's when I stab him. Whoa! That boy got slave feet. Oh shit, there's a dead end.
Oh,
you look very cool, Pierce.
Oh, goddamn right, I look cool.
Fuck.
She fucking lighting at my fingers. God damn it. You fucking just come down and get stunned already.
I got one side. Well, it's hard because like he has weak spots, but like elbows block him. Got the other side. So shoot the other side. Got it. He's gonna cocoon up. But wait,
he's up there. How are you gonna...
he might fall down to give me a chance. I don't know. Zap him anyway. Hopefully he'll just fall down. You missed, you bitch.
The fucking camera is retarded. Okay.
Alright, well, we gotta do it again. It's your fault. I'm just kidding. Oh, shit. Down here, boy! Alex, you got one.
I think I hit one of them.
Yeah, you did. Oh, shit! Alright. It's coming on me, coming on me. Got it! And he's down here, which is great. So, once he cocoons up, then you do it, and I'll stab him. Man, do it. Okay. Oh, am I trying to get to you? Am I doing this right? I really don't want to do this again. Here we go. Fuck. Okay, I got it.
I am the captain now.
You okay, Pierce? You okay, buddy?
Come on.
Come on, just stay with me.
All right, the BSA is gonna have a field day with this.
Captain, I did it for the BSAA.
The Horde. For Narnia!
Future.
I know. You did a real good thing.
As long
Leave me.
I don't want to hear it.
You gotta leave me, Cap.
Whoa. What do you say?
Let's go.
So we're both gonna leave here.
Oh.
Depressurization process complete.
Nope.
Unsealing doors now.
We're gonna get you through this, Pierce.
Yeah, but I don't feel so good.
Warning. Facilities infrastructure compromised. Unable to withstand water pressure.
You're controlling the lightning?
Please evacuate immediately.
Fuck. I have like no health. Stab it, buddy. Where the fuck out, buddy?
Shoot it. What do?
Shoot it. I gotta run.
Unable to withstand water pressure. All personnel.
Oh, god damn it.
I see you fucking up over there.
Why don't you let me auto roll?
Warning. Facilities infrastructure compromised. Unable to withstand water.
Right.
All personnel, please evacuate immediately.
I'll fucking screen shake right now.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. Oh,
Okay.
you took too long. You suck.
I don't think you moved far enough forward. I survived.
I had to stand back a little bit. We were on the same platform though, weren't we?
Depressurization
That's what I thought.
Unsealing doors now.
We're gonna get you through this, Pierce. Hear me?
Warning. Facilities infrastructure compromised.
We got it this time.
Unable to withstand water pressure. All personnel, please evacuate immediately.
Stand back, Captain! I can kill you!
Go.
Slide right, bitch.
Warning. Facilities infrastructure compromised.
Okay, it's not giving me the option. I tried to do it.
Okay, okay.
All personnel, please evacuate immediately.
Do it, do it, do it, do it.
Warning. Facilities infrastructure compromised.
Pierce!
Unable to withstand water pressure. All personnel, please evacuate immediately.
I like how I can run through your fucking Sith lightning over here.
Yeah, yeah.
You okay, buddy?
My arm's really heavy.
It pops an eye out and I just turn into like just a monster.
You're gonna be okay.
Slay, fuck yeah.
there.
Hey, what up, guys? We're almost done. I think this is it. And then after this, do you want to do Sherry and Jake or Leon and Helena?
We can do Sherry and Jake. I think we should save Leon for the last. Probably the best
I think it's the best one. It's the most Resident Evil like.
See that? We'll be out of here in no time.
I trust you to get me out of here, Cap. I believe in you.
I'm covered in pus and green shit. I look like the inside of a crawfish.
Got it.
All right, buddy.
Here we go, Pierce. We're getting out of here.
Gotta go on without me, Cap.
Finish the mission. Worthy of a was channel redeem IMO. I should do a was
I refuse to live like this. It was my jerk off hand.
It's either for real bad or real good, sir.
Doing the right thing, Cap.
Pierce, no!
Go on without me. Your family.
Don't be a hero!
Tell my girlfriend and unborn child I love her. Pay for my mother's medical
For the
bills.
PSAA. You never thought it'd end like this, huh, Maria? Dom, no! Dom, what are you doing? He's just crying all the way up.
Right.
That's sad. It was kind of sad the first time. I actually, even though I believe this whole campaign screams it at me, I didn't see it coming. I didn't know any of the heroes would die in this one. It's like, I think he's the first playable character to canonically die. Right? I can't think of another one. He's just like his little ball. It's okay.
Save me from alcoholism.
Yeah, what's up with that? Like, it kind of skips her a little bit. Oh, what's up?
Because usually the playable characters like always live, so it's like, I could see how it'd be like, oh shit, we don't actually die for one thing.
Yeah, like even the ones you don't see again, like Billy. I think Billy's dead, but you don't see Billy dying. Yeah, I think Pierce is the first playable character to die. Canonically, like I said.
Right.
Oh yeah, brother. All right, well thank you for
brother.
Hell yeah, brother. We have to watch these credits. But oh, Mike, skip it. Cool. Because I think there's like a whole like steak scene again. Shout out Bo. Yeah, shout out Bo. Bo rocks. If you guys aren't following Bo, what the fuck are you even doing? Bo is the best of us. I mean that. Like I could just sit there and just listen to Bo, and I'm like, yeah. Like, you know, Bo captures that feeling, right? Where it's like, you know, when we were roommates, right, Vaughn? It's like, you know, one of us will be playing a game, we just kind of just walk into each other's room and you just start watching.
Yeah.
That's what it's like hanging out on Bo streams. It's like you just
walk in and jerk each other off. Yeah, I know that.
Not quite. Not quite.
Oh, Bo didn't do that? Bo didn't do that for you?
Bo didn't jerk each other off? No.
We've received new orders.
Bo would, though. I feel like Bo would. Bo's down. You're not Pierce. I think you stand where he stood. And he just punches him.
Right.
Bo was a good one. Bo's a great one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like I said, it's like Bo feels like a Bo stream feels like you're just watching your friend play a game. And you're out there just hanging out, shooting the shit, making references to Transformers and stuff. That's what a Bo stream is like. Little do they know, Chris is shit-faced right here.
Right.
Resident Evil, giraffe getting head.
It'd be funny if like the next game was like Chris with that guy, and just like the whole time he's just like, Pierce wouldn't do this. Pierce would have got that.
Pierce had a sniper.
Got that guy.
Yeah, Pierce had higher accuracy.
Yeah. Pierce would have killed that guy for me.
Pierce would have revived me.
Yeah.
GG guys, thank you. All right, well, I have my other friends. Yes, we literally waiting for you. Don't wait for me. I told you guys I'm doing shit. All right, I'm being peer pressured to go drink on a fucking Wednesday night, so.
You're getting this in text format or in your chat?
It's in text.
Nice.
It's all text. I can screenshot and send it to you. They're like abusing me. They're like, come over, bitch. Now, yo, come over. I said, I'll be there in an hour. You'll be here in 45 minutes. It's almost an hour, lol. Almost on the last boss. Just pause the game. It's ending, lol. Should I still come over? Yes, we're literally waiting for you. You're so needy. All right, so let me quit this. Next time you said you want to play Jake and yeah, you said you want to save Leon. Well,
yeah.
If you want to save Leon for last, does that mean you're gonna do Ada after the other one?
Wait, which one is Ada? Who's the character in Ada's campaign? Besides Ada.
I was falling into hell. I didn't want to break the illusion and start talking while screaming. So, Ada's campaign, I think it was meant to be soloed, but she does have like just agent number 2 with her, you know? It's just a guy. Like, he's not even there in the cutscenes. Oh man,
amazing.
You're too kind. I just love hanging and playing games with the homies. Yeah, I know, and that comes across. It really does. Have you been in a Bo stream, Vaughn? You should check his shit out. Follow him if you haven't.
Oh, I think I have.
Yeah, Bo's awesome. He plays Souls games almost exclusively.
Nice.
All right, have a good night, y'all. Good night. I'm gonna raid out. Who's online?
Yeah, I
first
guess.
of all, are you gonna keep streaming?
Online, fuck you.
Are you gonna keep streaming?
I am.
All right, I'll raid you. What are you gonna play?
Baby.
What are you gonna play?
I actually just reinstalled Battlefield 1, and I think I'm gonna play that.
All right, everybody, we're raiding over to my player 2 over here.
Actually, let me restart my stream and retitle it.
How much time do you need?
Like a minute?
All right.
Alrighty. Stop streaming. What, like, canonically, when does the Ada Wong happen? Ada Wong campaign
These
happen?
all happen concurrently.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm pretty sure they all start.
The best for last. So I think. I mean, the Ada Wong one is like kind of.
I think hers is the shortest, and from what I remember, I think hers actually played most like a classic Resident Evil. Like I think hers was like still actiony, but I think she had a bit more puzzle, you know. So yeah, we'll do Jake and Sherry next time, and then Ada after that. Because I don't think you haven't even played the Ada, huh? I think we always quit before that point. Because in the original in the original release, you have to beat all 3, and then you unlock her. But when they made the HDs, they were just like, "Fuck it, nobody cares. Let's just have her unlocked from the beginning."
Right. Okay, do that.
Hi, BB.
Hope we can find matches.
All right. Wait, Battlefield 1? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I put my tags.
All right, let me know when you're ready, and I'll raid you. 8 viewers. Nice. You know what? I'm gonna raid somebody else. Who's online?
Hey. That's good.
We got Jade Infinite. She's playing Cyberpunk 2077. We got Vintage Potato. She's playing RE4. We got Super Sleepy T. He's playing Silent Hill 4.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
It should be back up. Yeah.
All right. We got. Oh yeah, you're up. And we got Lemon Wedges. Who else we got? What'd you say? Thanks for the dope ass stream chat. Oh no, thank you, man. I had fun with it. I love this game. Like a lot of RE fans hate this one because they're told to hate it. I'm convinced.
Fucking wrong.
This is one of those things where it's like you only hate pineapple on pizza because the internet tells you. You only hate Coldplay because it's cool to hate them. RE6 is a good game. I will die on that fucking hill. All right.
It is.
Good night, Bo. Your other bitch. Yeah. All right. My other bitch. All right, we're gonna rate him. I hope you guys all have a fantastic night. It's a great game. I'm being peer pressured, so I won't be there long. Do I have shit to do in the morning? You know. So I'm not gonna be out late, and I don't think I'm gonna get drunk. Like I'll have like a drink. I literally have to work in 8 hours. So
you're going to drink on a work night at 11:30.
They're yelling at me right now. All right, guys. Peace.